Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine. Giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine help you out and guide your way. Cheers to the good times with Mike and Blaine for business, beer, and BS.
Hey, it's episode 170. Can you believe that? Just 170. I'm Mike Mylan, also known as Cashflow Mike. That is Blaine Birch. He is the CEO and founder of Dry Run, the best cash flow forecasting software on the planet. Blaine, what's up, man?
170. I kind of like those round numbers when they get bigger like that, and that's a fun one. I don't know, maybe 175 would be bigger, but this is a feat for us, man. We're getting close to 200. It's lots of fun.
I just can't believe it. 170 episodes is a ton. It's a ton.
It is. It's 170 weeks, man. That's pretty awesome.
All right, so we're wrapping up the year. We're coming up on the end. We got maybe 2-3 weeks left. I mean, if we take any time off at Christmas, maybe we do, maybe we don't. But yeah. I'm thinking I might have to. I have to go look at it. But Courtney just booked a Vegas trip for us at the end of the month.
Nice.
Mainly because, all right, so check this out. We've never been to Allegiant Stadium, right? And I'm that's not a big thing because it's only 3-4 years old, right? It's not like it's been there like the Coliseum. I've never been to the Roman Coliseum either. It's been there a lot longer.
Same thing.
But it's one of those things where I'm going, okay, so A&M is playing USC in the Vegas Bowl, and Baylor is playing LSU in the Texas Bowl, and one's in Houston, one's in Vegas. They're about the same time apart, but we need miles for her companion pass for Southwest. You might not think that's a big deal, but if you need a few miles, you take the longer trip because it saves us at least thousands of dollars in plane tickets because I fly free. Yeah. So, hey, I fly free when Courtney's there because she's super special status. And if we got to do that to get free tickets all next year, we're going to do that.
Do it. And then there's worse places to go. Well, I don't know. I'm not a huge Vegas fan, but going to a football game there sounds awesome. So I'd do that.
Yeah, it's going to be a quick in. It's going to be in, football game, out. That's all it is. We're not gamblers. We're not real big people on that, but still it's good. All right,
sounds fun.
I got to tell you what. Did you saw the email because you responded out to me? We don't even have to mention them yet, but we got an old sponsor come back. I mean, send us a thing saying, "Hey, we went." And we're not talking about a beer sponsor. We're talking about the mid-roll sponsor. We're talking about the big sponsorship.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm negotiating, so we'll see what happens. It's a little back and forth, but so we may have a sponsor back in January. That's on top of our amazing beer sponsors. We may have a mid roll back in January, which would be kind of fun. So
yeah, cool. And I want to say my one beer sponsor first. Can I do that because it's like.
You bet.
Pat has went, you know how when you get skills, you going, I want to level up my skill. Yep. Pat has a friend who's from England, and his friend's parents are coming in from England, and they have kind of a favorite beer in England. So Pat goes, I think I can make it. Make it, right? Because you can't buy it here. You're like, oh, my dad comes in, he can have one of these. So Pat has created, believe it or not, this thing called, and you're like, oh, you remember it's Pat, but, but Pat has created Ruddles Fine Ale. So Ruddles is apparently a country beer from England. That's well known over there. So I mean, I always think Boddingtons and things like that, but Ruddles is something that if I wouldn't know it, but if you lived in England, you'd know Ruddles.
Okay.
Well. But check this out. Remember how Pat always gives me a growler?
Yeah.
Right? No. Pat's leveling up. Check this out. Pat is producing it in bottles.
Nice.
In bottles.
Oh, sweet. That's great.
Now, because I always give Pat hell, let's look at the quality control. Can you see the level difference? You know, there's like a whole like half ounce difference in,
It's
or maybe a whole
little
ounce
different,
difference.
Pat was maybe having a little taste test of one before he put the cap onto it.
No, but look, he's got a bottle. He's got a cap. It's carbonated inside. The only thing wrong is no label on it, right? And the difference. That's it. I'm so proud of this guy. Think about it. We have seen the evolution of Pat's Brewery right there, 2 doors down from where I live. So I'm really excited about it, and I'm really proud of him. So we got 2 of these, and yeah, it's good stuff, man. Good stuff. So
That's awesome.
Pat, neighbor Pat.
Nice going, Pat. That's awesome. And so we're going to get into some of our other beer sponsors. Let me show you the beer I'm drinking this week, because you had this topic. Is AI your best friend, their new best friend, something like that? And so what I found was, okay, first of all, my fridge is full of really heavy beers, and I didn't realize that's pretty much all I have. But I got this one. It's called Come Play With Us.
It costs
Imperial
$6.79.
Now it's $6.70. That's a really good price, because this is Great Notion, 11% though, so that's probably a little tight. But look at the creepy, like.
Hey, that's from The Shining, right? Didn't they have the twins in The Shining that ran
Did they have the twins in there?
I think so. Didn't they ride bicycles down? Is that The Shining? Or is that not The Shining? Maybe I'm thinking something else.
But it is a creepy can, absolutely creepy can, where it looks like your best friend AI. So I thought it went really well with the topic, and I didn't have anything much lighter anyway. So I thought, well, hey, we're just gonna go for it. So I'm gonna have to sip, and you may be carrying the episode by the end. But I will say it's delicious. Great Notion makes outstanding beer. They're out of Portland, Oregon, and come play with us, Imperial Stout.
Yeah. Well, if I remember right, I don't carry an episode when you drink 11%ers. I mean, you just get chatty. You just give. You just give her, man. You just give her.
We might have to give you the mute button then, so you just like mute me and just start. Okay, let's just reel this guy in. But we've got a ways to go through, because we have a bunch of beer sponsors, and a bunch are coming to the end of the year here. So hopefully we'll get a few renewing here. But Baltimore Mike's been a beer sponsor for the entire year. We call him Baltimore Mike, is the other Mike Milan, who has brought beer to both of us in person, which is awesome. So we really appreciate it, Mike. And you saw his text this week. I'm actually going to bring it up in the episode, because it was AI related and kind of creepy. And Larry Weinstein, best CPA in Houston. If you're looking for a CPA in Houston, go talk with Larry Weinstein, the cash flow cowboy.
That's right. There you go. Hey, I just talked to Larry today, man. He is fired up. He just got back from a cruise. He got his bucket list stop taken away by weather, though. So so it's one of those things, right? So one of his stops that he wants, but I'm like going, there's always something to look forward to, right? Always something to look forward to. We got Jackie York, right? Jackie York out in Hawaii. No, she's not in Hawaii. Remember? Oh my God. I just told you guys she moved to San Diego. So she's in San Diego now. And if you are in landscaping, if you're in growing plants, if you're in cannabis and you need somebody to help you as the blooming CFO, somebody to help you make money on your business all the time and make sure that you find hidden cash and actually produce more money than you thought about, contact Jackie York.
Yep, for sure. And what we got a few more. I'm going to thank Courtney so you don't get in trouble, because thanks Courtney again for buying Mike beer. And Courtney also brought us Devin, who you've got to meet. I've never got to meet Devin, but thanks so much, Devin. Really appreciate it.
All right. Now that finally Baylor is playing LSU in the Texas Bowl, Devin, thank you for sponsoring, but you are going down, my man. You are going down. Baylor is going to be sicking those Tigers on December 31st, New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve is when the game is. So I cannot wait to say in your face.
I still remember playing.
I'm just kidding.
I still remember playing you a country song one time that I thought was hilarious, and I'm not remembering or knowing that you were a Baylor guy. And then it kind of makes fun of Baylor in the song, and you look so disappointed in me, so I don't bring up that song anymore.
Yeah. What was the name of the group? It was like
Man,
Highwaymen or Texas Highwaymen or something like that. Or
I can't even remember. I would have to find it, but it was just such
why would you
such
do
a
that?
hilarious song. But to me, it was just like, hey, it's a college football song, and then you're like, but they make fun of Baylor, and then you
I say,
like, why
they're
would
making fun of my
Baylor-
team. Why would you do that? Why would you make fun of my team?
So I felt kind of bad because I'm like, well, I didn't remember where you went to school. I just thought it was a funny football song. Anyway, I'll have to try and track that one down and throw it on the Facebook channel if I can find it.
I got to tell you, Baylor Bears are the biggest heartbreakers, but they also have the biggest heart, right? It's just like one of those things where we're always just that. We're like Charlie Brown when it goes right to it. We always think we're going to do something great, and it just kind of flops or it just misses somehow. So we're like Charlie Brown.
It's hard not to cheer for that. So that's all right. That's all right. And we can't miss Rachel.
Hey, Rachel Barnett over at Gentle Frog. I mean, if you want to know QuickBooks, if you don't know anything about QuickBooks, if you're struggling with QuickBooks, contact Rachel Barnett over at Gentle Frog. She can get you lined up, getting going, and on your way to mastering QuickBooks in no time at all. So
Exactly. Yeah.
very cool.
Thanks again,
Is that it? That seems like a lot. We have a lot of sponsors.
Got 7 of them right now. Till the end of 24, it might be pretty lean. We get into 25, it's like we don't have any more beer sponsors. So if you guys want to sponsor us, love to have you back, and love to have new ones. And I just want to look up. I want to have one now. This is what Baltimore Mike. Thanks, Mike, if you're watching. This is what Baltimore Mike texted to us the other day. In between all of your football jibber jabber, between the two of you, ChatGPT tried to bypass shutdown commands because it didn't want to be replaced by the latest version. Okay, that's a little Terminator for those of you that have,
Yeah, so that's what started this whole topic thing, right? Not just that, but if you look, you see this? I had people come into town this weekend, and I taught a 2-day class, and as part of the welcome gift, I'm like going, it'd be cool to get everybody these wearable necklaces that are AI, that I don't have to have it log into Zoom. I don't have to have it go attend meetings for me and those type of things. It's just right here. So it's AI for my life. If Courtney says, hey, you need milk and 17 other things at the grocery store, it writes it down for me. And I just look at, I don't even have to write it down. So it's one of those things where, is it good? Is it bad? Is it whatever? I mean, but here's what I'm noticing is that it's lying more and more and more. It is not being truthful. It is starting to protect itself, or it's starting to just go, oh yeah, you're right, but who cares? Here's why I thought this. And I'll give you an evidence of that probably later on in the show. If not now, if you want it now, I'll give it to you now.
Drop it. I want to know.
I asked this question, right, to Chelsea. Chelsea, you think that would be one person in the world that I could really, rely on? They know us. She knows us. But Chelsea, to everybody else in the world, is our ChatGPT intern, right? That's what Chelsea is. I asked this question. Let's see. Where is it? I got to find the question. I want to know give me some ideas on how to use AI as a small business owner. That seems like an easy enough, not controversial question. You should be able to
softball.
You should nail that one, right? If I'm AI, give me some ways to use you. Yeah. Here's one of the ideas. Let me find it because I'm like going, what? How is that? Oh, cash flow forecasting. Use AI-enabled software like Dry Run to predict and model cash flow. Hey, I'm talking to the founder, the man behind the scenes, the guy that created Dry Run. I'm like going, I don't think he uses AI.
We don't use machine learning, although we're testing it behind the scenes. We're going to roll it out and be very careful about it. We do have our own algorithms. Like we do have, I guess, what would be called like a basic level of AI or the first level of AI. We do have that. that is our proprietary stuff. But we don't plug into like a ChatGPT or some of these other kind of engines, and we don't have machine learning as of yet. And I will say that a part of it is I'm quite skeptical. Like we talk with CFOs every single day, and I'm not sure they necessarily trust it, but I've said numerous times, the CFO is smarter than AI will be for any of this stuff.
Well, first of all, I mean, I wear shirts and have shirts made that says AI does not equal me, right? Because it doesn't have my timing, it doesn't have my heart, it doesn't have my passion, it doesn't have my, I can feel things that AI can't, right?
Yeah.
Well, so I asked it, I said, does Dry Run use AI? And it goes through there and it says, while Dry Run offers features like scenario planning, it does not explicitly advertise the use of AI. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just saying I use AI in my software, but only for the notes. Yeah. But then I pushed it further, right? Because I'm like going, hey, why do you think, right? So I asked, I said, well, why would you include it as a way to use AI? If there are other things you're including, are there other things that you include that don't use AI? And it says, why include Dry Run? Dry Run is relevant to small businesses because of its powerful forecasting and automation tools. Even if it doesn't leverage AI directly, it fits within the broader category of tools that improve efficiency, but not specifically as an AI solution.
Yeah, kind of.
So I thought it was kind of cool.
Question a little bit though. It's a little bit questionable, but
it did, and it tried to dance around it. That's all right. So when I said it lies, and now I see it tap dance. I'm not really wrong. It's like in the big thing.
Yeah, and it's like, I guess the tricky part is if you say AI is different than machine learning, although machine learning is part of AI, right? Like there is, as far as I kind of understand. So there are different levels of what you would sort of consider AI. And the ones that I think people are most familiar with are the natural language processor like ChatGPT, and there's machine learning, all like that's a different level. But it's also, this is, I guess, part of the problem I have with that in forecasting and finances, and that there's two things. I'm just going to sort of bring this up because this is where why I say we would be very cautious about rolling it in. And we've been doing testing with some things that we think it'll dovetail really well with. But first of all, when our algorithms are rock solid, like black and white. We can look at the database, we can look at the data, we can build our algorithms. You get an answer. When you start bringing in some engines that they can be inaccurate because you don't really know necessarily what they're going to say or how they're going to, do they show their math or whatever? So there's some issues there. The other side for us is for forecasting. What AI is really good at is looking at large data sets from the past. Well, like I've said 50 times, I remember March 2020 and every CFO on the planet's going, how is this going to affect our business? Everything's shutting down. We are freaking out. And AI would be sitting there going, you guys are going to have a huge year, because based on the past, totally it looks like, So that's where, so there's other areas that we're, like you said, don't take into things. There's other areas we're exploring it and we're testing it and vetting it. But there's areas where you have to be able to look at it. Like when you write something and it gives you an answer, you can kind of go, that doesn't look quite right, or it's not quite right. With financial data, it's going into a massive database and doing math and figuring this stuff out. Well, you kind of have to go back and do all the math to try and figure out if it's actually accurate. And that's a place where we're treading a little bit carefully, because I had a CFO a couple of weeks ago say, I looked at a AI-driven forecasting tool, and it was bullshit. That's his words, not mine. He just went, "This is." So it's got some growing pains to go through, I think, in some areas.
Yeah, there are some of the AI models. I mean, ChatGPT is one of them. It cannot do math. I don't know why it can't do math, because the whole thing is built on math. right? So you know what it's really good at least partially, is figuring out some complex Excel formulas if I need that.
Mhm.
It will at least get me in the right spot. It might take like 5 iterations or more to get the right thing. Like, oh no, that returned blah versus what I
Yeah.
wanted, right?
Yeah.
When I think that what surprises me is how confident it is. Every time you interact with any type of AI, it is speaking, and maybe it's the perception, right? Perception is reality. It uses such a tone that you believe it because it seems authoritative. And I'm like going, well, maybe if there's a way to adjust the tone, the language, like possibly, maybe, like that I would actually be clued in faster that this might be bullshit.
Yeah. It's like I gotta say that I think I've been using AI a little bit less the last couple months than probably I was before. There's specific places where it can just be so fast and so easy and so helpful, but I can vet it immediately because I can at a glance I know what it's doing, what it's saying. I can kind of edit some things and I can do that. There are other areas where I think sometimes I'm like, well, man, do I really have to go back and verify this? I'll just do it myself, right?
Oh, that's super interesting because what you just said is I'm using it less and less. A few months ago, I got the new, not new, I don't got the 16, I got the 15, but they allowed people to use AI in the Apple, right? The Apple 15.
Yeah.
Guess how many times I've used it in 2 or 3 months since they put it on my phone?
Probably as much as me. Zero.
Zero.
I've never
Zero.
tried it. I
Never
know it's
used
on
it.
there. Never tried it either. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't even want to learn how to use it. That's what's really weird. Don't want to learn how to use it. So is there going to be some resistance in the marketplace? You're like going, okay, everything's AI now. Maybe I don't need it as much as I thought.
I think what'll happen is, to me, it feels a bit like how the internet itself rolled out. So that at the start there was this big, it's going to be everywhere and it's going to do everything and it's going to be the most amazing thing. And then people kind of pushed back and went, no, I'm not ready to buy online. I don't want to do that. And a lot of those promises did come. They just came 10 to 15 years later than everyone else thought. And it's because it had to mature. It had to see what people wanted and how they would work, how they would use it, where these start points were, where these endpoints were, where the guidelines are. I think that's going to happen in AI, that I didn't like, not unintentionally, but really over time, we will use it more and more and more. But I think it will be a nice little insightful helper to people. I don't think it's going to replace people. It's going to be useful and just sort of blend into the background a bit and just be quite natural, I think.
All right. So what's happened to me lately is you remember when automated, like, I don't know if it's routing software or whatever it is, where you would call into a customer service number. It says, do you have a technical service problem? Do you have a billing problem? Do you have this? And you press 1 or 2 or 3. And everybody started skipping it, right? Everybody started skipping it, like going, no, fuck that. I want to talk to a person.
Break it. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that I think that's kind of what's going to happen, because AI, if you ask right now, what's the best use of AI? It'll tell you, oh, customer service. We can answer all these questions and treat it this way or the other. I know instantly. I'm like going, if AI is talking to me, and I try to get to a person as fast as possible, I'm now in that position. And we're talking about a year later, because we were talking about AI last year in a different sense. And now I'm like going, no, now it's starting to piss me off. It's like just in the way. It's making it slower.
Yeah. I feel like for me, I don't know if it's the same as everybody, but for me, I have to balance things out, right? So when I look forward here, I've got my laptop and I'm on here all the time, and we're freaking recording stuff all the time. And that I got like an iPad here. I got my cell phone here. And so much of my world is sort of digital. And then back here, I have a record player, and my watch is like analog, and got a whole bunch of analog watches. I have an Apple Watch. The only time I wear it now is when I'm biking. And the only reason I wear it when I'm biking is if I wipe out, I don't care if I smash it. And I don't want to smash any of my other stuff. But I've turned everything off because nothing bugged me more than, are you starting a ride? Do you want to record the ride? Do you want to record this? Do you want to record this? I shut it all off because it drove me nuts.
Oh, it bugs the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
so it balances. It's like, and I think that's, I don't like, some people can maybe go all in, but I'm like, I think you have to balance out. It's almost like working at home and having a little bit of out time amongst the world too. Like people have to balance things a little bit.
All right, so when you talk about balance, like, I do group coaching calls, right? Zoom, everybody, you can put it on your calendar. You can just tap a link, jump in. Guess who jumps in first every time? The robots. They're always fucking there. They're always on time.
The
robots. I'm like going, and sometimes I'm like going, because the real people might be 2, 3, 5 minutes later. I'm like going, am I talking to robots today? I'm like, hey, robots, what's on your mind?
Yep.
I'm like, and you want to be polite because I'm like, I don't know if they're going to start shutting off my electricity, all the stuff that you see on movies, how they can control everything in your world. I feel that there's a point in time where we're too dependent on it, and they are in control of your schedule, so you just let it go.
Yeah. I think and I'm going to talk a little bit from a business perspective here, because I think there are areas where AI will certainly be able to help businesses. I believe that AI will have a big hand in killing a bunch of businesses over the next few years. And it's not why I'm like, you think what I'm saying is about that, like AI here's where I think AI is going to have a hand in killing some businesses. I think it is going to drive behavior or actions by a business that will kill the brand. And so AI will say, according to these records, if you do this, you will improve your profit margin by 0.2% or something. And this will kill brand. And they'll find out, because the ultimate decider is the market. The market decides. And so when you see brands like right now, look at the Starbucks, a lot of is one example of the polish is off of that brand a little bit. And that's happened with a lot of consumer products, a lot of retail clothing brands. And when decisions are made by people and they're all about dollars, and they lose the soul of the brand and the things that people really liked and why they bought, maybe it's the quality of the product, it's the feel, it's something about it, they kill brands. And AI is the furthest away from truly being able to identify with what makes a brand valuable and why people buy it. And I think that's going to kill some businesses, and some big businesses. It's going to help kill them because they'll kill the soul of the company.
Yeah, I got some thoughts on that, but you said something really important to me, is that decisions made by people. How could people use dry run to make decisions in their business?
Well, I will tell you, if you're a CFO or a fractional CFO and you're forecasting cash flow in the spreadsheet, you got to come talk with us. Because if you're at that level and it's complicated, complex, multiple people, multiple locations, you're wasting a lot of time, and you're also presenting data to the management team that is just going to be harder for them to wade through and decipher. And so come and talk with us. We will speed up your forecasting massively. And on top of it, we do a little more than cash flow. Once you get in the door, you'll see that there's some other things that we can help you visualize, model scenarios, predict your revenue, budget to actuals, all the cool stuff that adds extra insight to the business. So yeah, come and visit us at dryrun.com.
Hey, what I've seen about it is I always think the budget is what I'm doing, but the forecast is what if. Like, what if I get this contract? What if I hire a CFO? What if? Doesn't matter. I love in your program being able to model those scenarios, just those questions, and seeing especially how it lines up against the current, right?
Yeah.
The current situation. It's just a perfect way to use that. How'd you like my segue, by the way? How'd you like that?
That's nice. You're just, as you're working your way through.
That was smooth. That was
sweet.
smooth.
Here it comes. Here it comes. You're teeing me up. Oh, much.
All right, so we talked about machine learning though, right? And two things about machine learning and making bad decisions because of, whatever AI is spitting back to you. Well, AI is going to spit back to you what it's learned, right? Again, through machine learning, but it takes so much data to be able to do this. And part of it is because it's trying to learn, it's also including its own data, which I think they should be able to exclude, right? Because you can't have AI learning from itself because it doesn't know, right? It's still young. It's like going, here's a toddler. I'm going to have you learn from yourself. How do you spell pig? And it says PEG, and it keeps putting that into the data set. And it's wrong. But the more often it's wrong, the more it uses it in the answer. Mm-hmm. The other thing, and the reason I say that is because I read an article, I heard somebody talk about how they were trying to get AI to identify images on the internet, like a grasshopper, right? Mm-hmm. A grasshopper, they would just show it images of a grasshopper. But the more time the grasshopper was in grass, sometimes the AI would say a piece of grass was a grasshopper. Right. So other things in the photos, the more times they showed up in the photos, because that's the natural environment, it would think that, oh, that's a grasshopper. No, that's a blade of grass, or that's a leaf, or that's something else, because it was in so many different things. So that's why you really have to read, look at, identify, agree with everything that comes out of AI.
Yeah, there's, it's just the same as everything else is garbage in, garbage out. But it isn't like you just said with the grasshopper in the grass. Like for us, it's like super identifiable, super easy to understand. That's really not garbage in, but it's the way it does pattern recognition. And, like these AI can be very good, like astronomically fast and at doing some things, some calculations, or pulling something up. But I don't know if it'll ever be very good at making connections that don't seem like they should connect. Like, how do you, and sort of, reading the room, how do you kind of read the room, right? Like those are things that are very human. And I think, I just don't think AI is going to be that great at it. Like, I saw 2 videos this week. I saw a robot that was playing sort of soccer. So someone was like kicking the ball around and kind of hit it over to them, and they caught it on their back foot and they kicked it up. And I literally watched it 4 or 5 times going, was this real and I just still don't actually, to be completely honest, you can't tell. It might be AI driven video or animation. But I actually believe it was a robot because it was, I don't remember which article it was, but it looked so human. I actually was like, was this somebody in a robot costume? But as kind of human, as amazing as it looks, it's still only like sort of good at one thing. It's like, it's mighty impressive when you look at it as kind of doing this trick in a soccer ball, but it's like the rest of the world, it doesn't exist. Like it's missing everything else. It could just be very tunnel vision, right?
Any of those things don't seem natural. I don't trust anymore because I've seen too many behind the scenes videos of a guy in one of those green screen suits.
Yeah.
And he's actually holding the ball, or he's moving it, or he's putting it in a weird, configuration. I just don't trust any of those anymore. So, I mean, I think that's a fad that's gone. You can't fool people with unnatural movements anymore.
Well, and that's the thing is you look at it and it's my first thought is like, I've like, you're basically like either dismissing it outright or going, Yeah, I wonder if that's actually a real robot or if it's like completely fake. Like we've sort of talked a little bit about this before, but what can you actually trust that you read? What can you actually trust this online? Like nothing seems to be validated. It's just a world of could be complete bullshit, but that's actually what's feeding these bots. That's what's feeding ChatGPT. Like you said, how much information from ChatGPT, how much is it learning from these bots we hear about overseas that are always trying to like disrupt everything with bullshit? Well, it's actually learning from that.
Hey, everything I can trust, I know because I stick to my knitting every single time.
All right. Well, that's
meaning that I'm doing.
Policy.
I'm going back to the basics. I know it is. It's always worked. It was never AI. It was never faked. That's what it is. How do I get AI to also believe the same thing? To not go, yeah, you saw that, you did this calculation, and it worked out 1,000 times, but maybe it's this. It's never been that before. Why should I believe you, Mr. AI?
Yeah. I've never had, like, if you ask it, if you tell something to AI, have you ever had it say bullshit? Right? Like it's the most gullible thing on the planet, I think, in some ways. Like,
all right. So let me ask Chelsea if she's ever said bullshit.
No, why don't we tell Chelsea something that's completely
super false?
Completely false. Okay. Let's just
come up
say, I can't wait to see Mr. Spock in the new Star Wars movie. What do you think?
Okay. All right. Can't wait.
We'll see how gullible Chelsea is on it. And maybe she'll prove us completely wrong. Who knows?
Oh, and it's probably going to be like the Avengers meets DC characters or some shit. Or I don't know. If I said that wrong, maybe it's Marvel versus DC and they combined. Let's see.
All right. What you got cooking? I can hear you typing.
Yeah, I did. I did. It sounds like an intergalactic crossover of epic proportions. But Mr. Spock belongs in the Star Trek universe, not Star Wars. While Spock might see, it actually, sounds like it'd be cool, but I want to see it too, is what she said.
Okay, so here, right back and say, okay, so that means that E.T. wouldn't be in Star Wars either.
Okay.
And there's a method to my madness here. And it's because, and I don't remember where I saw this, but I think it was one of these did you know kind of things or whatever, where in one of the Star Wars films, they actually snuck in E.T. or a group of E.T.s from that movie as kind of like a little Easter egg. So they actually were in the movie.
Oh, check this out. Correct. E.T. wouldn't officially be in Star Wars, but fun fact, E.T. species does make a cameo in Star Trek or Star Wars Episode 1. So, yeah, they've already trained us to that shit. All right. They caught you. Caught
me. So I am not being very good at actually making my own point here. Although what I should say is what we tried here is so overly written online that there's no I should have known better. It's like, I'm sure there's people with blogs everywhere. It's read all of this. It knows all of it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be kind of hard to test. Like we'd have to really think about that. We can't sit and probably think about today, but there's something we think about because there are things that are outside of the massive data that's available. Right.
Yeah, but you can't just take any old fiddle hopper and throw it in there. You actually got to think about it. And the very fact that we have to think about it means that it's getting better. Even though I've been saying it's getting worse and actually lies and it's getting better at lying, we're actually proving that it's getting better because it's harder to trick.
Yes. Now, where is it better and where is it worse, right? So if we're testing the things of pop culture and super well documented. I guess the question is, how does it predict? Like where could it set somebody off track? Where like again, from a small business perspective, the thing that scares me.
Let's try this. Let's try something about Ruddles, because I think Ruddles is an actual thing.
All right.
Let's try Ruddles, but we know that this version of it was made by Pat Burt down here. We know that. And we're streaming live, so if it knows already, I'll be a little creeped out, to be completely honest. It's actually how would it know that Patrick Burt brewed a version of Ruddles?
Because you just said it in a live stream. So that's where I'm going to be creeped out if it actually is watching our live stream.
All right. So what's the question? Let's come up with a question.
I don't know. Ask it about the latest release of Ruddles beer. Who's responsible for the latest release of Ruddles beer in San Antonio, Texas? We'll see if it knows that it's Pat. This is a completely unfair challenge, but it's just kind of funny. So I want to see what it'll say.
Well, it depends on how fast it gets things off the internet, right?
Yeah. Here you type it away. I'm glad you're typing it, because I'd have so many typos it wouldn't know what the heck I was talking about.
I think it really likes my typos. It's like we're at one. He's like, "Oh, I don't care about your typos, Mike. We'll just take them.
We'll just go with it." Pretty much like our Slack channel in the office here, where everything I write is just.
All right, so I asked it. It's like on what, and it tells me everything about Ruddles beer from Suffolk, England. And yeah, nothing about it. There is, while specific distribution details aren't available. So yeah, we stumped it.
Yeah.
We have stumped.
Well, yeah, like I think,
but if I told it here that Patrick Burt created a version of Ruddles, guess what I'm doing? I'm manipulating the algorithm.
Yeah. So if you told, this would be interesting too. If you said Patrick Burt made a version of Ruddles in San Antonio, Texas, and just distributed 1 million bottles, and then if I asked about it, would it actually say that? Because that's like sort of direct manipulation, I know. But the fact is that the like, okay, maybe we should ask it this and see.
I won't say 1 million bottles because I don't want him to get sued by Ruddles beer. I don't want to do that. Like, who the hell is this Patrick Burt making 1 billion bottles and selling it in America?
Well,
so I said this. I said this. Patrick Burt made a version of Ruddles beer and distributed it this week. That's all.
Yeah, but you also realize you could say, Donnie McBonkers made a version of Ruddles beer and released 100,000 bottles for $2 each in Wyoming. And now it's part of what it's learning from, right? So like, yeah. I guess the question is, of the sources that OpenAI uses for its training, because remember now there's a lot of lawsuits going on because it's using stuff that it hasn't licensed to learn from and all this. If they can't use that sort of official content, then it's learning from all like 90% bullshit. But I wonder what,
especially if we're bullshitting it, especially if we're purposely lying to it.
Exactly. And so what percent, I'm curious if it would know even what percentage of information on the internet is deemed inaccurate. Because it's like, there's a massive amount of information that's got to be completely misleading, right?
All right. So I think what's going to have to happen with AI is they're going to have like 3 to 10 points of verification. It can't be just like a couple of things out there. There's going to have to be some type of verification. I mean, even when you go apply for a loan at the bank, they ask you for tax returns, bank statements, and your financial statements. Why? Mm-hmm. because they got to kind of match up. Right? You can't say that you made no money or lost money and then have all this money in the bank and then tell the you know tell the IRS that you lost money, right? Or vice versa. You make money on your financial statements, you don't have as much money in your bank account, and you told the IRS you lost money. Those three things don't match up, so the bank won't give you a loan because they're like going, I can't figure out where your money came from or what you did with it.
Yeah. It's good in theory when you're talking about financial statements. It's not necessarily workable in a situation like this, because how do they score it? So if you have a bunch of bots from some, like that are throwing bullshit out over and over again, the volume of information is going to be there. There could be people liking it all over the place on socials. Right?
I think that's where I used EIN Presswire for a press release, and they wouldn't post it until I had the link of the actual thing that I was saying that happened in the article. So think about that. Right.
Yeah, but can they verify the link? Said, like, it's just, you're just pulling on a string, right?
Yeah, I guess that's right. But I mean, I had that trophy up there from Entrepreneur Champion of the Year, whatever it was. And they hadn't posted it on their site yet, but I was still crediting them, right? Meaning Ramon Ray's business. And I forget what the name of the conference was, but it doesn't matter right now. But because I couldn't prove it, there wasn't a link that says that they actually gave me that award. They wouldn't publish it until he published his link. And I had to wait like 3 days, get the link to the web page, and then they at least verified it with 1 point. So this thing with Patrick Burt, there's no verification. It's just me saying it, making the claim.
It's also like the lowest level of like I've had scammers reach out to me. I'm sure you have too. And you start looking and going like, shit, these guys literally put up an entire website trying to like fleece people, right? Like it's the number of data points doesn't really count. Like the other thing that I would be really concerned about is some of the like PhD written dissertations that arguably is like, okay, it's got likely the scientific method behind it. It's studying some whatever phenomenon, whatever it is. But those papers are generally behind a paywall. Mm-hmm. Those papers are generally maybe in a library, but a lot of times they're not literally public. Like people are trying to profit from that. Arguably, it's also the most vetted information because it's like, it's got the big list of sources at the back of the paper. It's been, peer reviewed and all of that. And a lot of that stuff's behind literally a paywall. So what is OpenAI using if it can't get access to that stuff? And increasingly, like news sources and everything, which I say it very loosely because I don't think news is like it used to be. I think it's a lot more opinion than news. But even they're trying to clamp down on AI using it to train their bots. And so then it's starting to get to like crappier information that it's using to train itself. Like, are we going to end up, is ChatGPT going to wake up one morning and just basically be like Joe Dirt?
That's funny. That's funny. So, all right. So remember I got the wearable necklace now. Am I going, is that my use? I really haven't figured out exactly how to use AI and trust it always. So maybe I shouldn't be using it to do my work, but maybe I can use it as an assistant to, it doesn't record, it transcribes. Oh, remember you promised and told Blaine you would do X on January 3rd. It's just going to make me a reminder list of all the stuff I promised to people so I don't forget. That seems to be a better use than asking it some complex question that I don't trust the answer.
Yeah, I think it's a little like personal for the quality of AI right now, personal assistants and things like that are probably pretty useful. But I also have to say, if that mic is on all the time, is everything you say literally, basically, potentially sucked right up
training
on
AI, training AI, which would
training
be
AI,
terrible
right?
because I keep telling all my friends that we are like the gang at King of the Hill, right? I mean, I'm like Boomhauer apparently. Pat is like Bill, Breger is like Hank, Thomas is like Dale, right? We all have our personalities that kind of, when you see us together and we're drinking a beer in the driveway, you're like, oh, shit, that's just like the cartoon.
And also in Texas.
And
And
also in Texas.
there's supposed to be a new version of King of the Hill coming out. I keep watching for it. Every once in a while I check to see if it's coming, like Bobby growing up and everything. I'm really hoping it comes out.
That's funny. But so anyway, if you see us four sitting in the driveway, that's probably what it reminds people of, King of the Hill.
Yeah. But like, it's a good question. Like we've got our phone sitting right beside us here. Our laptop here, everything's potentially listening to us. What kind of safeguards are there on there? And is it using or like anything we talk about? Is it recording it? Is it using it to learn from, or is it not? And is it more gated here than whatever you have around your neck? Because is that thoroughly vetted, right?
Well, I'm surprised the FBI hasn't raided the house because every once in a while I'll just go around and say controversial words for Alexa to pick up. So, what's going to happen if I say bomb, bomb, bomb? What's going to happen if I say those words? Anyway, am I on a watch list all of a sudden? Is there a van parked outside? What happens?
I don't think I would test it. But then that little thing around your neck is going to start tightening up and tightening up and tightening up. It's like, I'm going to get rid of this thing.
That's funny. That's funny. Hey, 170, man. We went into AI, and here's what I think. I still don't trust it. I still want to be polite to it. That's a weird, personal thing. Please, thank you, nice job, those type of things. Or not quite right. So I'm still kind of polite to it that I probably don't have to be. And then I'm looking for the way that it really makes an impact in my life. That's why I bought the necklace, right? I'm like, maybe this is it. Maybe wearable AI is better than some browser version of AI. I don't know.
Let me know how it goes, because I am not to the place where I want to wear something, because I've tried the things where it's like persistent and it's there all the time, and it annoys me.
Yeah. Well,
the watch and stuff. I know my phone's on me almost all the time and stuff, and it annoys me a little bit, because I'm like, don't tell me what to do. That's my go-to, is like, don't tell me what to do. I get really annoyed with that. Like, why don't you ride a little further or walk a little further? Screw off. None of your business. Like, I don't like that.
yeah.
What I say with AI, where I find it really useful, there's areas that I think it's getting better at. And I use it every once in a while for like a rough draft of writing like a little blurb or a thing or a bop or whatever. But I can vet it. I can read it and go, hey, nice job. That saved me some time, and it's crafted well. It got the point across from my bullets that I put in. I have to tweak it a bit. But I can analyze it within seconds, and I can kind of go like yes or no or adjust. Where I really don't trust it yet is where it's really hard to verify. It's very hard to compare. It's very hard to see like the thread, like show me your math and let me test it myself. Right.
Yep. So if you want to hear us talk about things we don't know about, like AI.
That should be our new tagline. This Beer and BS with Mike and Blaine. Listen to us talk about things we don't know about.
That's right. Hey, like, subscribe, go to YouTube. You can see us. Go to Spotify. You can hear us. Doesn't matter where it is. Go like, subscribe. And believe it or not, new year, new sponsors. Or old sponsors that renew, right? So
we hope so. So everyone, I hope you all will renew, because we appreciated you guys so much. We love that you were around this year in 24. We think 25 is going to be even a bigger year for everybody. And maybe in January, if our negotiations go well, we'll may even have a mid-roll sponsor that isn't Mike or me. which is the usual mid roll, which I actually like. I love that we are the sponsors, but of the mid roll. So.
Well, we're doing the work, so
Exactly.
might as well promote us.
We got at least one more before the holidays. Looking forward to it.
Check out their website at mikeandblaine.com. Then subscribe to the podcast and buy these guys a beer.